Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books. And I've added one book into this category, even though it was not written by Srila Prabhupada, but because it was written by his dear disciple, my dear godbrother, Gopi Pranadana Prabhu, translated and by him. It is so clearly in Prabhupada's line, just like the completion of the Bhagavatam by my godbrothers, of whom Gopi Pranadana Prabhu was one, also, notably, is considered one of Srila Prabhupada's books, because these personalities are empowered by Srila Prabhupada, just like, Yudhisthira Maharaja and Dravida and others were empowered to edit his books to the standard that he wanted. So here we are in the live studios in Hythe, Kent, southeast England, just across from the English Channel, to share with you once more the nectar, Amrita, of the Bhagavatam. So before we do, we recite the Srimad Bhagavata Mahima Stotram, also written by Srila Sanatana Goswami, as was Sri Brhad Bhagavatamrta. And it goes like this. Sarva Shastra Dipi Yusha Sarva Vedaika Satpala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnaja Sarva Lokaika Drik Prada. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths, you are the only giver of sight to all the worlds. Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad Bhagavata Prabho Kalidwan Dodita Ditya Sri Krishna Parivartita. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master Srimad Bhagavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Sri Krishna. Paramananda Pataya Prema Varshakshadaya Te Sarvada Sarvasevyaya Sri Krishnaya Namostume. I bow down to you who are supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Sri Krishna himself. Madeka Bando Matsangin Madguro Man Mahadana Manistadaga Mad Bhagya Mad Ananda Namostute. I bow down to you who are supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Sri Krishna himself. Madeka Bando Matsangin Madguro Man Mahadana Mannishtadaka Mad Bhagya Mad Ananda Namostute. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. Asadu saduta dayin adini chochata kada hanamun jagadachin mam premna rit kantayospura. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me. Always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we've reached the 5th chapter of the first part of Brhad Bhagavatamrta. Narada Muni continuing his survey of the devotees all over the universe, has come to Hastinapur to see the Pandavas, recommended by Hanuman. And one thing we'll note, that each time, each person or persons that Narada meets, the glorification becomes more elaborate. And the refutation of that glorification becomes more elaborate. And the glorification of the next devotee becomes more elaborate. Because this is the nature of devotional service. The more intimately connected with Krishna devotees are, the more extensive is their knowledge and the excitement of their lives and everything. Okay, so Narada Muni, Narada Muni is glorifying the Pandavas as he has for more than a couple of days now in our reading time. Okay, we're starting from text 33. Narada Muni is speaking to the Pandavas. Your mother, Priya, once heard from the mouth of Akrura a single statement by Krishna, sweet with affection and meant to console her. As soon as she heard it, she plunged into a swiftly flowing current of prema. Commentary. On one occasion in Mathura, as recounted in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna asked Akrura to visit the Pandavas to see how they were withstanding Duryodhana's harassments. Krishna told Akrura, "You are indeed the best of our friends, so please go to Hastinapur and, as the well-wisher of the Pandavas, find out how they are doing." Bhagavatam 10:48-32. During this visit, the Pandava's mother, Priya, met with Akrura. Because Akrura was a pure Vaishnava, the very first words she heard him speak kindled in her heart the ecstasies of love for Krishna. Text 34. She often lamented with poignant words that could shatter the heart of anyone who heard them. And she bore the burden of love for all of you, staying tied to you only because you are very dear to Lord Krishna. Commentary. Mother Priya fully trusted Krishna's protection because she was a surrendered devotee. Her complaints and expressions of anxiety did not arise from a materially contaminated consciousness, but rather were her own special symptoms of ecstasy. She did not hesitate to open her heart directly to Krishna, as she did during the reunion at Kurukshetra. Krishna, Krishna, O great yogi, O supreme soul and protector of the universe, O Govinda, please protect me, who have surrendered to you. I and my sons are being overwhelmed by trouble. For persons fearful of death and rebirth, I see no shelter other than your liberating lotus feet, for you are the Supreme Lord. Bhagavatam 10:49, 11, and 12. Naturally, for a pure devotee of Krishna, Priya wanted to give all her love to him, forgetting material attachments to family and everything else. But because her sons were also exclusive devotees of Krishna, she maintained her affection for them. Text 35. Krishna, the life of the Yadus, tried for a long time to leave for Dwarka, but by enveloping him with plaintive prayers, she kept him in her home. Commentary. Sri Krishna had stayed with the Pandavas throughout the war between Yudhisthira and Duryodhana, but he was also Yadujivana, the life of the Yadus. So without his presence, the residents of Dwarka seemed almost dead. Krishna tried to leave Hastinapur to return to the Yadus, but Mother Prita dissuaded him but with her prayers and induced him to stay a few months longer. Those prayers of Prita are included in the first canto, chapter 8 of Srimad Bhagavatam, text 36. Krishna bestowed upon Yudhisthira the highest prestige, greater than that of anyone else in the upper and lower worlds. And by favors, like allowing Bhima to kill Jarasandha, Krishna granted Bhima unequaled fame. Commentary. To enhance the reputation of King Yudhisthira, Krishna encouraged him to perform the Rajasuya sacrifice. Krishna helped the Pandavas dispose of Jarasandha, who was the major obstacle to this sacrifice, by giving Bhima the honor of defeating Jarasandha in one-to-one combat. During Jarasandha's repeated attacks on Mathura, Krishna himself had gotten many opportunities to kill him, but Krishna patiently waited for the suitable opportunity so that the credit would go to Bhima. Krishna. Text 37. Saintly Arjuna became renowned throughout the world for his intimate friendship with Krishna. I can never sing all the glories of Arjuna, even if I recite hundreds of Puranas. Commentary. Narada calls Arjuna Bhagavan out of great respect. This term is usually reserved for God, but the sage could justify using it by citing this scriptural definition. A person who knows about the creation and destruction of the universe, the karmic comings and goings of embodied creatures, and the forces of enlightenment and illusion may be called Bhagavan. Vishnu Purana 6.5.78. Text 38. And as for Nakula and Sahadev, everyone has seen many times how fixed they are in love for Krishna, as shown, for example, by how those twins behaved in the deliberations on whom to worship first in the Rajasuya. Commentary. The twins Nakula and Sahadev worked together so closely that whatever either of them did could as well have been done by the other. And everything either of them did was impelled by pure love for Krishna. Text 39. Lord Hari personally sanctified Sri Draupadi's hair during the Rajasuya sacrifice and other special festivals. He would call Draupadi dear friend. He relieved her of fear of Atri's son Durvasa and fear of others, including Dushasana. He removed all her sorrow. Commentary. During the Rajasuya and other sacrifices, Krishna with his own hand sprinkled Queen Draupadi's hair with water from the ritual vessel sanctified by mantras. He spoke to her with the affection reserved for intimate family members. He protected her in frightening situations involving Durvasa Muni, the temperamental son of Atri, and saved her from the shame of being disrobed by Dushasana in the royal assembly. Finally, Krishna relieved all her pain by destroying Dushasana and his friends at Kurukshetra. Text 40. Krishna relished Sri Vidura's porridge and organized the celebration of Sri Bhishma's passing away. Please, therefore, judge your own standing from how in many controversies both Vidura and Bhishma took your side. Commentary. Sri Krishna appeared partial to both Vidura and Bhishma. Even though Vidura was the son of a low-born Shudrani, Krishna happily shared Vidura's humble food, praising it as very tasty. And Krishna graced Bhishma with his presence as Bhishma was passing away on the battlefield. Nirjana means the soul's exit from the body, but as applied to a perfect transcendentalist like Bhishma, it also means merging into the existence of God. For devotees of the Lord, merging into his existence can only mean attaining a spiritual body and entering the eternal kingdom of Vaikuntha. Because Grandfather Bhishma saw Krishna before his eyes at the moment of death, Bhishma certainly achieved the Vaikuntha liberation deserved only by pure devotees. It appears then that Krishna highly favored Vidura and Bhishma, even more than he favored the Pandavas. But here, Narada corrects that popular misunderstanding. Why indeed were Vidura and Bhishma so dear to Krishna? Krishna was pleased with them, not only because of their own devotional service, which was not that exceptional, but mainly because they served the Pandavas, protecting them from Duryodhana and other enemies. Vidura and Bhishma earned high esteem in the opinion of the Lord by giving shelter and affection to sons of Prita when they were helpless. Should be 2D sons. Text 41. Truly, the words spoken by the ordinary women of your city amaze me. Those words, focused on Krishna and imbued with transcendental knowledge and devotion, are praised in songs by accomplished poets. Commentary. Generally speaking, the citizens of a state are virtuous when their rulers are virtuous. As Vyasadeva and other sages depict in their epics, everyone in Hastinapur, under the administration of Yudhisthira and his brothers, was saintly and learned. In the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the women standing on the roofs of Hastinapur spoke to one another while Krishna was passing on the road. Their first comments sounded like those of profound scholars. Here he is, the original personality of Godhead, as we definitely remember him. He alone existed before the manifested creation of the modes of nature, and in him only, because he is the Supreme Lord, all living entities merge as if sleeping at night, their energy suspended. Bhagavatam 1:10-21. Then the women began speaking like Vaishnavas, steeped in devotional ecstasy. Oh, how supremely glorious is the dynasty of King Yadu, and how virtuous the land of Mathura, where the supreme leader of all living beings, the beloved husband of the goddess Fortune, has taken his birth and wandered in his childhood. Bhagavatam 1:10-26. Since the Pandavas were the leaders of a community in which the ordinary people spoke like this, the Pandavas must have been exceptionally saintly. Text 42. When Prahlad, the son of Kayadu, obtained the Supreme Lord's grace, he did so along with a grandson. The best of monkeys was favored alone. But you rare souls have received the complete love and mercy of the great Lord Hari with all your family members and subordinates. Commentary. Here Narada confirms the assertions by Prahlad and Hanuman that the Pandavas are greater devotees. Other than Prahlad, the only pure devotee among Hiranyakashipu's descendants was Prahlad's grandson, Bali. Hanuman alone, in his family, received Lord Ramachandra's mercy, since Hanuman was a lifelong brahmachari and so had no offspring. The Pandavas, in contrast, shared Krishna's mercy with their entire family and entourage. According to one interpretation, Bandhu in this verse means the Pandavas' sons, wives, and other relatives, while Swajana means their ministers and the residents of their capital. Or, alternatively, Bandhu means the relations of the Pandavas by marriage, like King Drupada and King Virat. Swa means their blood relatives, including Duryodhana and his brothers. And Janaha means their servants and citizens. Either way, everyone associated with the Pandavas obtained the mercy of Sri Krishna, the all-attractive source of all expansions of Godhead. Text 43. Once, once, in the court of the Kauravas, with me and other sages present, Krishna said of you, O friend of the Pandavas, a friend of the Pandavas is my friend, and their enemy, my enemy. The Pandavas are my very life heirs. Commentary. Whatever Krishna says must be absolutely true, especially what he says in the presence of pious sages like Narada. So by making this declaration in such a respectable public forum, Krishna ensured that his feelings for the Pandavas would become well known throughout the world. Just as the 5 pranas maintain the spirit, soul, and a living body, the 5 Pandavas assisted Krishna in his pastimes, and as the life air is very dear to the soul, the Pandavas were very dear to Krishna. Therefore, Krishna says in the Mahabharata, Udyoga Parva 89:28, he who hates the Pandavas hates me, and he who follows them follows me. Know that I am one in spirit with the righteous Pandavas. And Krishna elsewhere says, one should not eat the food of one who is hateful, nor should one feed a hateful person. You, O king, hate the Pandavas, and the Pandavas are my very life heirs. Text 44. Just see my arrogance. Only Krishna can adequately know and describe your good qualities. But at least I am convinced that the Supreme Lord has descended to this world only for the sake of you. Commentary. It is evident from Krishna's dealings with the Pandavas that Krishna understood their sublime character. No one but Krishna was fully qualified to reciprocate with them. Narada, ashamed to have impudently tried to glorify the brothers, apologizes by submitting one fact of which he is certain. Sri Krishna descended to this world only to please the Pandavas and spread their fame. Text 45. Sri Parikshit said, for a moment, Dharmaraj Yudhisthira remained quiet, and then he sighed, as if embarrassed. At last he spoke, followed in turn by his brothers, wife, and mother. Commentary. Hearing his own praise embarrassed Yudhisthira, or so it seemed. Closer to the truth, however, is that he took this exaggerated praise to be false and thought that Narada was teasing him. In either case, Yudhisthira felt sufficiently moved to sigh audibly, even in front of his mother and younger brothers. Text 46. Yudhisthira said, O crest jewel of brilliant speakers, Lord Hari has no mercy for us. We cannot remember any mercy he has shown us, even after we consider this for a long time. Commentary. By calling Narada an eloquent speaker, Yudhisthira subtly accused him of distorting the truth. In Yudhishthira's opinion, proof that Krishna blessed him and his brothers with special favor cannot be found. Text 47. If ordinary materialists see the many calamities that have come upon us, their faith and their inclination to serve Krishna are likely to wither. Commentary. In texts 47 through 56, King Yudhishthira refutes the idea that the Pandavas possess Krishna's mercy. Simple people believe Krishna's devotees never suffer misfortune. Yudhishthira says that when such people see the Pandavas' extreme adversities, this faith will be spoiled. But since he knows that the opposite is true, that by hearing about Krishna's loving dealings with the Pandavas, people gain faith, Yudhishthira qualifies his statement with the word eva, as if. Text 48. This would surely cause us great distress, for we have dedicated our life and breath only to him. We would suffer like embodied creatures without food, or like fish deprived of water. Commentary. The Pandavas do not resent having been subjected to so many troubles, but they feel responsible for diminishing the faith of other devotees, and this makes them sad. Only the force of Krishna's affection keeps the Pandavas alive. Text 49. Therefore, on the pretext of arranging a sacrifice, I begged him, "Dear Master, please show how the fortunes of the devotees and the non-devotees differ." Commentary. Yudhisthira did not undertake the demanding Rajasuya Yajna for the power and fame it would earn him. He and his brothers were untouched by such material motives. He wanted only to help the world better understand the glories of Krishna and his devotees. Therefore, O Lord of Lords, let the people of this world see the power of devotional service rendered to your lotus feet. Please show them, O Almighty One, the position of those Kurus and Srinjayas who worship you, and the position of those who do not. Bhagavatam 1072, 5. Text 50 and 51. By this sacrifice, all people will see the wonderful assets that belong to your devotees in this life and the next. Opulences all pure and utterly distinct from material assets. Then, gaining absolute trust in you, people will worship your lotus feet, become ever free of misery and fear, and achieve happiness in all respects. Commentary. People tend to be strongly influenced by the example of their leaders. The Pandavas fulfilled their sovereign responsibilities perfectly by the devotion and precise care with which they carried out the Rajasuya sacrifice, by the perfect justice of their administrations in this life, by the perfect justice of their administration in this life, and by the exalted position among the demigods they were sure to attain in the next. The Pandavas inspired the innocent people to follow the path of devotional service to Krishna. Everyone could see that the extraordinary wealth and power of the Pandavas was untainted by material faults, because that wealth and power was intended only for the service of Krishna. Text 52. Now our non-devotee enemies have been destroyed, our kingdom returned to us, and our grief made greater than ever before. Commentary. After the Rajasuya sacrifice and the Kurukshetra war, Jarasandha, Shishupal, Duryodhana, and their allies were all dead, but in fact their existence had been annihilated in an even fuller sense, because they were never to take birth again. And although the Pandavas, after long years of suppression, were free to rule, in Yudhisthira's opinion, they had been happier when struggling against one threat of destruction after another. Text 53. It is our fault that many saintly persons met their demise, including venerable teachers like Drona and Bhishma, and sons like Abhimanyu. Commentary. This is why gaining the kingdom brought no happiness to the Pandavas. Most of their noble relatives, many of them saintly devotees of Krishna, had been killed in the conflict for sovereignty. Yudhisthira blamed himself for these deaths, since the war had been fought to install him on the throne. Text 54. The company of those devotees of Sri Vishnu is more desirable to us than life itself. Deprived of that association, we can no longer find any happiness. Text 55. We enjoy the pleasure of seeing Sri Krishna's lotus face only once in a while, when after long times absent, he visits us on some business. Commentary. Krishna did return. Just a second, I lost my place. Yes. Commentary. Krishna did return to Hastinapur a few times after the Kurukshetra war, as when Yudhisthira invited him to attend the Ashwamedha sacrifices. But these few visits were far too short to allay the pain of separation the Pandavas suffered most of the time. Text 56. The Yadavas alone are his true friends, living always with them in Dwarka. He is always busy, satisfying those dear and supremely fortunate friends. Commentary. Narada might suggest to the Pandavas that Krishna will soon finish his business and return to them, because to Krishna they are dearer than anyone else. No, Yudhisthira replies, the Yadavas are even more dear. Krishna very much favors the Yadavas simply because they are the most exalted members of the Lord's own dynasty. Moreover, the Yadavas are endowed with the priceless treasure of pure love for Krishna. Therefore, Krishna goes out of his way to keep them always happy. Yudhisthira reasons that since the Yadavas are enjoying Krishna's company and the Pandavas are not, the Yadavas must be more favored. Text 57. From time to time, you have observed him carrying messages, driving chariots, and doing other services for us. But he does these things only to absolve himself of his debts to us, destroy our sins, and protect our religious principles. Commentary. In addition to acting as the Pandava's messenger, charioteer, and general servant, Krishna also offered them advice as a royal counselor and killed irreligious miscreants on their behalf. But in Yudhisthira's opinion, the impartial Supreme Lord never acted out of preference toward the Pandavas. Text 58. Sri Parikshit continued. Then Bhishma, the bosom friend of the Lord of the Yadavas, laughed loudly and said, "Please listen, my dear disciple of Sri Krishna." Commentary. Whoops, I put my thumb on the thing. Oh, Krishna. Where was I? Yes. I'll repeat the verse. Sri Parikshit continued. Then Bhima, the bosom friend of the Lord of the Yadavas, laughed loudly and said, "Please listen, my dear disciple of Sri Krishna." I mean, it's skipping around. Please forgive me. Yes. Commentary. The word narma denotes natural joking between intimate friends. Bhima was so intimate with Krishna that Bhima could pretend to discern in Narada's character the faults the sage had acquired in Krishna's association. Gosh. For example, Narada must have learned from Krishna how to cleverly juggle the meaning. I mean, for example, Narada must have learned from Krishna how to cleverly juggle the meaning of words, just as Krishna always juggled words himself. Wow. Somehow or other, when I push the down arrow, it's going 5 verses at a time. This is completely crazy. Now, this is better. Okay. Text 58. Sri Parikshit continued. Then Bhima, my gosh, it's just every time, it's crazy. Okay, I'll have to figure this out. I will stop my reading now. It's almost 8 o'clock anyway. And Bhima is about to refute the praise of Narada. We'll stop at text 59. Okay, that's it for tonight for the reading. Let's have some reflections, please. Jai, Sri Pandavas ki jai.
first is something from Brhad Bhagavatamrta.
Haribol Braja, first out of the gate, again, Haribol.
He says, Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. It seems that devotees in each rasa are being glorified here. Is it reasonable to assume that any of the rasas are adequate to become a pure devotee?
You can't get prema rasa or rasa without being a pure devotee of Krishna. So the answer is yes.
He also shows how Krishna can reciprocate with us in so many ways.
Yes. He reciprocates with us not only in so many ways, he reciprocates with each of us, and each of us are different. So he reciprocates with each of us differently. Just try to get your arms around that idea. Every single soul is unique and different, and Krishna reciprocates with each and every one of them differently. It's inconceivable. Therefore, Krishna is called Suridam Sarvabhutanam. He's the friend of all living entities. And Surit means a special kind of friend. Su means good, and Rit means heart. Means the heart is always good towards all living entities. Hare Krishna.
He commented, oh. That's
all he said, oh. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Braj. That's it?
That's all for questions and comments. Oh, Raj Balaba also says, I have much to learn.
You have much to learn because the knowledge about Krishna and his devotees is unlimited. As much as you learn, you will feel that you have more to learn. There's no end to it. It's unlimited. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. I have to admit to you that the service of I never thought I would. The service of proof hearing the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the audio files, is so intense because I have to sit for 4.5 hours, 5 hours, and pay attention to every single word. And you'd be surprised how many mistakes we found that had to be corrected. But it's so intense to focus your mind, and your eyes that length of time. And I've been doing this for, editing books and things like that for a long time. So my eyes are starting to give out. Not give out exactly, but they're getting tired. Hare Krishna. But it's blissful tiredness, completely blissful tiredness. Hare Krishna.
And from Bhakta Ben?
Hey Bhakta Ben, Hare Krishna.
He says, Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thanks for your readings. Sorry I haven't attended the past 2 sessions. I liked hearing about Mother Priya fully trusting in Krishna by dint of her surrender and not hesitating to open her heart to him.
Yes.
All glories to your editing service.
Hare Krishna, all glories to Gopi Puranananda Prabhu, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and the eternal Guru Parampara. Hare Krishna.
And something from
Yes, I was struck by that point also about Prita, that she was, she's Krishna's aunt, so it's in a sense superior in relationship, in family relationship. And the aunt has the ability to speak openly to the nephews, nieces and nephews, openly. No care, So yes, this is very special, and it shows the intimacy of the Pandavas and their relatives to Krishna, with Krishna. Hare Krishna.
From Gauranga Gopal Das. He says, Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for reading
Hare Krishna Gopal Gauranga.
Tonight. I have a question concerning our relationship with Krishna. Because of our particular conditioning, we may be attracted to the pastimes of Krishna and Dwarka, and in particular, his relationship and friendship with the Pandavas. In ISKCON, Prabhupada gave us the facility to cultivate pure love of God in its ultimate form, in conjugal relationship. I just wondered how we go beyond our conditioned nature to find more attraction to the highest topics. Hope this question makes sense.
Well, you don't go against your material nature in order to go to the highest position. You become purified of your material conditioning in order to find out who you are. You can't imagine yourself, into a position in the spiritual world. That knowledge has to be revealed to you in proportion to the purity of your service attitude and the quality of devotional service. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur talked about this subject, and we also heard in the 4th chapter, which I just heard when we're doing the proof hearing of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. I just heard it the other day in the 4th chapter of the Adi Leela, where Prabhupada makes the statement that special, natural appreciation of a particular pastime of Krishna is an indication of one's eternal position, one's original relationship with Krishna. But the key words are special and natural. In other words, when we read the Goswami's analysis, Prabhupada's analysis of the different rasas and how the conjugal rasa embodies all of them put together, Adi Rasa, the original relationship, it doesn't mean that all the devotees in the spiritual world are aspiring to become gopis. How could that be true? How can you imagine the spiritual world, Goloka Vrindavan, with just Krishna and all the gopis? If all the souls are inspiring to become, or that's the ultimate, destination for them, then there would be just Krishna and the gopis in the spiritual world. No calves and cows and trees and birds and cowherd boys and calves and could Krishna, Radha and Krishna, be pleased if it was like that? No, you can't imagine that. So therefore, the truth is that the more elevated our devotional service becomes by hearing and chanting all these pastimes and all these transcendental literatures that Prabhupada gave us, and chanting the holy name without offense, our hearts become pure and purer and purer. And then the attachment that we have, we may like all of them. It's not that we're going to dislike any of Krishna's pastimes just because you attain your original position. the pure devotees of the Lord in the highest levels of Krishna consciousness, they are amazed by all the devotees. That's one of the things that this Brhad Bhagavatamrta is showing us, how much devotees appreciate one another, But it doesn't mean that Hanuman, because he sees, the Pandavas as greater than him, that he's aspiring to be a Pandava. That's artificial. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur talked about, in the same vein, he talked about incidental hearing. By incidental hearing he meant that, he went on to explain that if one keeps hearing the Bhagavatam again and again, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, again and again, and never stop, we will eventually become, our relationship with Krishna will eventually become revealed to us. But that doesn't mean that once we attain a certain level of devotional service or a certain rasa with Krishna, that we don't appreciate the rasa of others and other devotees to other incarnations or expansions of Krishna. It's not like the material world, the spiritual world. There's no enmity in the spiritual world. There's no material, no malice. There's only pure love. And that pure love is the force that causes the movements of all living beings around Krishna. So we should go on hearing, go on chanting, go on serving, purify our hearts, and then one day our relationship with Krishna, our eternal relationship with Krishna will be revealed to us in a special and natural way. Hare Krishna.
Next is a comment from Vamsi Vilasi Das.
Vamsi Vilasi Das, Hare Krishna.
He says, interesting how the Pandavas are externally miserable, as if Arjuna's worries at the beginning of Bhagavad Gita came true. The mysterious inner world of the devotees is very different to how it seems on the surface.
Exactly. Thank you for that reflection. Very true. Hare Krishna.
Next is something from Dayal Nitai Das.
Jai Dayal Nitai, haven't heard from a long time.
He says, Dear Sri the Guru Maharaj, please accept my obeisance. Hare Krishna. In one of the last verses read today, King Yudhisthira says that Sri Krishna serves the Pandavas to absolve himself from the debts Krishna would have towards the Pandavas. Would you please explain what Yudhisthira Maharaj means by this?
It means that Yudhisthira is supremely humble. And he can't think that Krishna is glorifying the Pandavas or is beholding to the Pandavas in any way. He can't think like that. A pure devotee of Krishna can't think like that. So that's what he means. That's the expression of his humility. Genuine humility. That genuine humility is called Dainya, and we'll hear more about it in the second part of the Priya Bhagavatamrta in the 5th chapter. And it's considered to be the essential prerequisite for prema, and the relationship between dainya, utter humility, and prema are so intimate. The causal and effectual relationship of both to one another makes them the same practically. Without dainya, you cannot have prema. Without prema, you have to have dainya. Or not that you have to have dainya, because have to implies force. There's no question of force. Everything is spontaneous and natural in relationship with Krishna in the spiritual world. And here in the material world, if we become pure enough. Hare Krishna. Thank you for that lovely question.
He says, thank you.
And that's it for me. I'm at 15 after, and I'm exhausted. I have to rest. Dear devotees, thank you so much in this assembly of Vaishnavas, hearing this wonderful Brhad Bhagavatamrta, after hearing the Gita and the Bhagavatam and the Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is like, the dessert. Hare Krishna. Shri Brhad Bhagavatamrta ki jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bo. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow night. Same place, same time, same topic. The creme de la creme de la creme de la creme de la creme. Hare Krishna.